I'm finally out of bed. Good morning, happy Tuesday. I am finally out of bed. I exist in the world of the normal, everyday functioning individuals. Yay! Truth be told, I got tired. I got tired of staying in bed all day, so I'm finally free from the confines of my bed space. And I'm so happy to be back once again with you lovely floofles. I'm so happy to be back once again. I'm just adjusting myself, getting nice and comfy cozy. I got my pudding, I got my cup of tea and or coffee. I'm ready for the day. Today, okay. Today we're starting a new story time. If you guys haven't already noticed, we're going to be reading The Boy with the Cuckoo Clock Heart by Mathias, oh god, I'm gonna butcher his last name. Malzieu? It's a French last name, and I can't speak French. Malzieu, right? Malzieu? I'll figure it out eventually. Anyway, I am back once again. I am now back to my normal sitting settings. I'm back at my computer table. I had gotten rid of my death trap of a computer chair, and I'm currently sitting on a plastic stool, which is not comfortable in the least, but it is better than the death trap I was sitting on before. But yeah, I'm excited to start a new story with you guys today. I'm really excited. Let's get some background music. What kind of background music do we want to have? Let me see. I'm gonna look for some background music just to keep it from being too quiet around here. Just a little something to go along with our reading today. Alright, I found this. This will work. I think this will work. What do you think? It's some music box, background music. Let's see. Is that too loud? Lower it down just a little. There we go. A little something. A little. I can't tell if it's loud or not, so I'm gonna have to, I think that's good enough, right? I think it's good enough. Okay. Let's see. Just gonna do this, do that, do that, do this, do that, do that, do this. Shrink down this window just a little bit so I can have that right there. Alright. There, that way I can see all of my settings. Perfecto. Alright, chat is exactly where I want it to be. All my settings are exactly where I want it to be. So let's get started, shall we? I'm excited. I've only read this book once before. So I'm really excited to read it again with you guys. Let's see. I hope everyone can hear me all right. I'm just checking all my settings because I had to reset everything back up from the last time I streamed, which was yesterday, which was from my bed. And now I am no longer bedridden because I couldn't stand staying in my bed for one more day. I was in my bed since Friday. I am now happily out of my bed and moving around slowly but surely. So I'm gonna take my time and be very careful for the next few days to make sure I don't end up hurting myself again. But enough of that health update. Let us get into the story, shall we? The Boy with the Cuckoo Clock Heart. Firstly, don't touch the hands of your cuckoo clock heart. Secondly, master your anger. Thirdly, never fall in love, for if you do, the hour hand will poke through your skin, your bones will shatter, and your heart will break once more. Chapter 1, in which little Jack is born on the coldest day on earth and miraculously resuscitated. It's snowing over Edinburgh on this 16th day of April, 1874. An eerie freezing cold gridlocks the city. Old people wonder whether this might be their coldest day on earth. The sun seems to have disappeared for good. There is a biting wind, snowflakes lighter than air. White, a muffled explosion. This is all we can see. Houses resemble steam engines as the grey smoke exhaled by their chimneys sparkles into the steel sky. Edinburgh and its steep streets are being transformed. Fountains metamorphose one by one into bouquets of ice. The old river, usually so serious, is disguised as an icing sugar lake that stretches all the way out to the sea. The din of the surf rings out like a sound of windows smashing. Miraculously, the hoarfrost stitches sequins onto the cats' bodies. The trees stretch their arms like fat fairies in white nightshirts yawning at the moon as they watch the carriages sliding over this cobblestone ice rink. It is so cold that birds freeze in mid-flight before crashing to the ground. The noises they drop out of the sky is uncannily soft for a corpse. This is the coldest day on earth, and I'm getting ready to be born. The scene is an old house perched on top of the highest hill in Edinburgh, Arthur's Seat. The king's remains are supposed to lie at the top of the sleeping volcano set in blue quartz. The roof of the house is ingeniously pitched and pointy. The chimney, shaped like a butcher's knife, underscores the stars. The moon sharpens its quarters here. There's nobody around, just trees. Inside, everything is made of wood, as if the house had been carved from an enormous pine. It's like walking into a log cabin. Ruggedly exposed beams, tiny windows, rescued from the train scrapyard, and a low table hewn from a single stump. Woolen cushions stuffed with dead leaves complete the nest-like atmosphere. Numerous clandestine births are carried out in this house. Here lives strange Dr. Madeline, the midwife, otherwise known as that madwife by the city's residents, who is on the pretty side for an old lady. She still has a glint in her eye, but her smile is just a twitch, betraying a loose connection in her facial wiring. Dr. Madeline brings into the world the children of prostitutes and abandoned women who are too young or too unfaithful to give birth the conventional way. As well as helping with new life, Dr. Madeline loves mending people. She specializes in the mechanical prosthetic, the glass eye, the wooden leg. There's nothing you won't find in her workshop. As this 19th century draws to a close, it takes scarcely more to be suspected of witchcraft. In town, people say that Madeline kills newborns to model slaves from ectoplasm, and that she sleeps with all sorts of birds to conceive monsters. During her long labor, my mother watched distractedly as snowflakes and birds silently smashed their faces against the window. She's very young, like a child playing at being pregnant. Her mood is gloomy. She knows she won't keep me. She can scarcely bring herself to look down on her belly, which is ready to burst. As I threaten to arrive, her eyelids close without tensing. Her skin merges with the sheets, as if the bed is sucking her up, as if she's melting. She was already weeping on the climb up the hill to get here. Her frozen tears bounced off the ground like beads from a broken necklace. As she walked, a carpet of glittering ball bearings sprang up under her feet. She began to skate, then found she couldn't stop. The cadence of her steps became too quick. Her heels got caught and her ankles lurched as she went sprawling. Inside her, I made a noise like a broken piggy bank. Dr. Madeline is my first sighting. Her fingers grabbed my olive-shaped skull, a miniature rugby ball, and then we snuggle up peacefully. My mother prefers to look away. In any case, her eyelids no longer want to function. Open your eyes. Look at this miniature snowflake you've made. Madeline says I look like a white bird with big feet. My mother replies that if she's not looking at me, then the last thing she wants is a description. I don't want to see. I don't want to know. But the doctor seems preoccupied. She keeps palpitating my tiny torso. The smile disappears from her face. His heart is very hard. I think it's frozen. Mine too. There's no need to make a fuss. But his heart really is frozen. She shakes me from top to bottom, and I make the same noise as someone rummaging through a toolbox. Dr. Madeline busies herself in front of her worktop. My mother waits, sitting on her bed. She's trembling now, and this time it has nothing to do with the cold. She's like a porcelain doll that escaped from the toy shop. Outside, the snow is falling more thickly. Silver ivy climbs over the rooftops. Translucent roses bend towards the windows, lighting up the streets. Cats become gargoyles, their claws stuck in the gutter. Fish are pulling faces in the river, frozen mid-swim. The whole city is in the clutches of a glassblower, who exhales an ear-biting cold. In a matter of seconds, the few brave people who dare to head outside are paralyzed. You think some deity just taken their photograph. Carried along by the momentum of their own scurrying, some start gliding into the rhythm of a final dance. They, they almost look handsome, each assuming his or her own style, twisted angels with their scarves sticking up in the sky, music box dancers at the close of their performance, slowing down to the bars of their very last breath. Everywhere, passers-by already frozen, or on their way to freezing, impale themselves on the rose garden of fountains. Only the clocks continue to make the heart of the city beat, as if none of this were out of the ordinary. They warned me not to climb up the top of the seat. Everyone said the old lady was mad, thinks my mother. The poor girl looks like she's dying of cold. If the doctor manages to mend my own heart, I reckon she'll have a bigger job with my mother's. Here I am, lying stark naked, waiting on the workbench next to the worktop, my chest clamped in a metal vise, and I'm starting to feel seriously cold. An ancient black cat with a servile manner is perched on a kitchen table. The doctor made him a pair of glasses, green frames to match his eyes. Stylish. Nonchalantly, he watches the scene. All he's missing is a financial newspaper and a cigar. Dr. Madeline starts scouring the shelves of wind-up clocks. She removes a number of different models. Severe-looking angular ones, round ones, and metal ones, showing off the tips of their clock hands. With one ear she listens to my defective heart, with the other to the tick-tocks of the clocks. She scrunches her eyes, apparently unsatisfied. She's like one of those dreadful old ladies who takes a quarter of an hour to choose a tomato at the market. All of a sudden, her face lights up. "This one!" she shrieks, stroking the gears of an old cuckoo clock. The clock measures approximately 4 centimeters by 8, and is made entirely from wood with the exception of its mechanical parts, dial and handles. The finish is rather rustic. Sturdy, thinks the doctor out loud. The cuckoo, as tall as my little finger bone, is red with black eyes. Its beak, fixed open, gives it the air of a dead bird. "You'll have a good heart with this clock, and it'll be an excellent match for your bird-like head," said Dr. Madeline said to me. I'm not so keen on this bird business. That said, she's trying to save my life, so I don't quibble. Dr. Madeline puts on a white apron. This time I'm sure she's going to set to work cooking. I feel like the grilled chicken they forgot to kill. She hunts around in a salad bowl, choosing a pair of welder's glasses, and covers her face with a handkerchief. I can't see her smiling anymore. She leans over and forces me to breathe in the ether. My eyelids close, surrendering like shutters on a summer's evening somewhere far away from here. I don't want to call out anymore. I watch her, then sleep slowly overcomes me. Everything about her is curved. Her eyes, her cheeks like russet apples, her bosom. She's made for wrapping around you. I'll pretend to be hungry even when I'm not, just to tuck into her breasts. Madeline snips through my skin on my chest using a large pair of scissors with serrated edges. The touch of their little teeth tickle. She slides the clock under my skin and begins to connect the gears to the arteries of my heart. It's a delicate process. Nothing can afford to be damaged. She uses an ultra-fine, solid steel wire to make a dozen miniature knots. The heart beats from time to time, but only a feeble quantity of blood is pumped into the arteries. "How white he is," she whispered. It's the hour of truth. Dr. Madeline sets the clocks to dead on midnight. Nothing happens. The clockwork apparatus doesn't seem powerful enough to stimulate the heart. I've had no heartbeat for a dangerously long time. My head is spinning in an exhausted dream. The doctor presses down gently on the gears to set things in motion. Tick-tock goes the clock. But boom, the heart replies, and the arteries run red. Little by little, the tick-tock goes faster, and so too does the ba-boom. Tick-tock, ba-boom, tick-tock, ba-boom. My heart is almost beating at normal speed. Dr. Madeline gently removes her fingers from the gears. The clock slows down. She starts the device, but as soon as she takes her fingers away, the heartbeat grows weaker. She's like someone cuddling a bomb, wondering when it will explode. Tick-tock, ba-boom. Tick-tock, ba-boom. The first ray of lights bounce off the snow and sneak into the shutters. Dr. Madeline is exhausted. As for me, I've fallen asleep. Perhaps I'm dead, because my heart stopped for too long. Just then, a cuckoo sings so loudly in my chest that I cough in surprise. Eyes wide open, I spot Dr. Madeline with her arms in the air like she's just scored a penalty in a World Cup final. She starts stitching my chest with the skill of an accomplished tailor. I'm not exactly battered, but my skin looks old, with wrinkles like Charles Bronson. Stylish. The dial is protected by an enormous bandage. Every morning I need to be wound up with a key, otherwise I risk drifting off to sleep forever. My mother says I look like a big snowflake with clock hands sticking out. Madeline replies that it's a good system for finding me again in a snowstorm. It is midday, and the doctor, with her warm habit of smiling in the middle of catastrophe, escorts this wisp of a girl to the door. My young mother walks away slowly. Her lips tremble. Off she heads to the distance, a dejected old woman in the body of a teenager. As she merges with the mist, she becomes a porcelain ghost. I will never set eyes on her again after this strange and miraculous day. Chapter 2. Makeshift hearts and rusty spines and a trip to the ground floor of the mountain. Let me just have a sip of my tea. Every day, Madeline has visitors knocking on her door. Patients end up here when they've broken something but can't afford a qualified doctor. Whether she's fine-tuning or mending and discussing, Madeline likes to tinker with people's hearts. I don't feel such an oddity with my clockwork heart when I hear of a client complaining about his rusty spine. It's made of metal. What did you expect? Yes, but it creaks when I move my arm. I've already prescribed an umbrella for you. I know it can be hard to find one at the pharmacy. I'll lend you mine this time, but try to get hold of one before our next meeting. I am also witness to the parade of young, well-dressed couples who climb up the hill to adopt the children they have managed to have themselves. It's rather like a house viewing. Madeline sings the praises of this child or that who never cries, eats a balanced diet, and is already potty trained. Made to sit on a sofa, I wait my turn. I'm the smallest model. You could almost squeeze me into a sock box. But when the prospective parents turn their attention to me, they start off with fake smiles, until one of them pipes up, "Where's that tick-tock, tick-tock coming from?" At which point the doctor sits me on her knee, unbuttons my clothes, and reveals my bandage. Some shriek, others just make a face and say, "Oh my God, what on earth is that thing?" If it had been up to God, we wouldn't be talking now. This thing, as you call it, is a clock that allows this child's heart to beat normally, she answers dryly. The young couples look embarrassed and go off to whisper in the next room, but the verdict is always the same. "No, thank you. Can we see some other children?" "Yes, follow me. I have 2 little girls who were born during Christmas week," she suggested brightly. At first I didn't understand what was going on. I was too young, but as I've grown older... Oh, excuse me. There we go. I scooshed down just a little too much. Let's see. Alright. But as I've grown older, I've become frustrated with my role as the mongrel of the kennel. How can a simple clock... There we go. How can a simple clock put people off me so badly? It's only wood, after all. There we go. Comfortable. Now I'm comfy. Sorry. Had to readjust myself to be comfortable. There we go. Okay. How can a simple clock put people off me so badly? It's only wood, after all. Today, after I failed to be adopted for the umpteenth time, one of the doctor's regular patients approached me. Excuse me. Oh my, excuse me. Arthur is an ex-police officer turned alcoholic tramp. Everything about him is crumpled, from his overcoat to his eyelids. He's quite tall. He'd be even taller if he stood up straight. He doesn't usually speak to me, and curious as it may sound, I enjoy our habit of not talking. There's something reassuring about the way he limps across the kitchen, half smiling and waving his hand. While Madeline is looking after the young, well-dressed couples in the adjacent room, Arthur waddles around. His spine creaks like a prison gate. Finally, he says, in his thick Scottish brogue, I'm not even going to attempt to try. Don't worry, little one. Nothing lasts forever. We all get better in the end, even if it takes time. I lost my jobs a few weeks before the coldest day on earth, and my wife kicked me out. To think I agreed to join the police just for her. I used to dream about becoming a musician, but we were painfully short on money. What happened to make the police want to get rid of you? A leopard doesn't change his spots. I used to sing the witness statements instead of reading them out loud, and I spent more time on my harmoniums than on the police station typewriter. Plus, I drank... excuse me. Besides, I drank... Plus, I drank the odd drop of whiskey, enough to give me a husky voice. But I had no appreciation, you see. In the end, they asked me to leave. That was when I had the unfortunate task of explaining things to my wife. You know the rest. So I spent what little money I had left on whiskey. That's what saved my life, you know. I love his habit of saying, you know. Solemnly, he explains to me how whiskey saved his life. On that notorious day of April 16, 1874, the cold cracked my spine. The only thing that prevented me from freezing altogether was the warmth from the alcohol I'd forced down following those dark events. I'm the only tramp who survived. All my cronies froze to death. He takes off his coat and asks me to take a look at his back. It's embarrassing, but I can't say no. To mend the broken section, Dr. Madeline grafted on bits of musical spine and then tuned its bones, so I could play at different tunes if I hit my back with a hammer. It sounds nice, but I do walk sideways like a crab. Go on, play something if you like, he says, holding out his little hammer. I don't know how to play anything. Hold on. We'll sing together, you'll see. He starts singing when the saints go marching in, accompanying himself with his bonophone. His voice is as comforting as a crackling fire in a hearth on a winter's evening. When he leaves, he opens up a pouch, which is full of hen's eggs. Why are you carrying all those eggs around? Because they're full of memories. My wife used to cook them wonderfully. When I cook them just for me, I feel like I'm back with her again. Can you cook them as well as she did? No, they always turned out nasty. But at least it's easier for me to keep our memories alive. Take one if you like. I don't want you to be missing a memory. Oh, don't worry, pets. I've got plenty. You won't appreciate this yet, but one day you'll be happy to open your bag and find a memory from your childhood in there. For the time being, as soon as the minor chords of When the Saints Go Marching In start to play, my worry fades away for a few hours. After my 5th birthday, the doctor stopped showing me to her customers, the prospective parents. There are more and more questions in my head, and every day the need for answers grows stronger. My desire to discover the ground floor of the mountain becomes an obsession. I notice a mysterious rumbling when I climb up on the roof alone with the night. The moon tinges the streets of the town center with a sugary halo, which I dream of tasting. Madeline keeps on reminding me that there will be a time to confront the reality of the city soon enough. Each beat of your heart is a small miracle, you know, so don't get carried away. It's a fragile, makeshift repair. Things should get better as you grow up, but you'll have to be patient. How many times would Big Hand have to go around? A few. I want your heart to become a bit more robust before I let you out into nature. There's no denying that my clock would cause me a worry or two. It's the most sensitive part of my body. I can't bear to let anyone touch it apart from Madeline. She winds me up every morning using a small key. When I catch a cold, the coughing hurts my gears. I feel as if they're about to poke out through my skin. and I hate the sound of broken crockery they make. But mostly I'm worried about being always out of kilter. By evening, the tick-tock that reverberates through my body stops me from sleeping. I might collapse with exhaustion in the middle of the afternoon, but I feel on top of the world in the dead of night. I'm not a hamster or a vampire, just an insomniac. Then again, as is often the case with people who suffer from an illness, there are a few advantages. I love those precious moments when Madeline glides into my bedroom like a ghost in her nightgown, a cup of hot chocolate in her hand to calm my insomnia with haunting lullabies. Sometimes she sings until dawn, caressing my gears with her fingertips. It's a tender moment. Love is dangerous for your tiny heart, she repeats hypnotically. She could be chanting from an old book of magic spells to help me go to sleep. I like to hear her voice ringing out under a star-filled sky, even if there's something strange about the way she whispers. Love is dangerous for your tiny heart. On my 10th birthday, Dr. Madeline finally agrees to take me to town. I've been pleading with her for such a long time. Even so, right up until the last moment, she can't help trying to postpone the big event. Tidying things instead, walking from one room to another. While I'm down in the cellar, stamping my feet impatiently, I discover a shelf lined with jars. Some are labeled Tears, 1850 to 1857, and others are filled with apples from the garden. Who do all those tears belong to, I ask her. They're mine. Whenever I start crying, I collect my tears in a flask and store them in the cellar to make cocktails. How do you manage to shed so many tears? When I was young, an embryo got lost on its way to my womb. It became stuck in one of my tubes, causing me to bleed inside. Ever since that day, I've been unable to have children. I cried a lot, even though I'm happy to bring other people's children into the world. But things are better now that you're here. I'm ashamed I even asked her. After one particular day of sobbing, I noticed the tears were comforting to drink, especially with mixed with cider vinegar. But you mustn't drink when you're feeling fine. Otherwise, you're caught in a vicious cycle of only feeling happy when drinking your own tears, so you have to keep on crying in order to drink. But you spend your time mending other people, so why drown your wounds in the alcohol of your own tears? Let's not worry about that. We're heading down to town today. Haven't we got a birthday to celebrate? She asks, forcing a smile. After the disturbing story of Madeline's tears, it takes me a while for me to feel excited as we head down the hill. But as soon as I see Edinburgh, my dreams get the upper hand. I feel like Christopher Columbus discovering America. The twisted maze of streets beckon like a lover. Houses lean towards each other, shrinking the sky. I'm running. A single breath could bring the whole city tumbling down in a game of brick dominoes. I'm running. The trees are still stuck up there on the top of the hill, but down here people are springing up everywhere. The women an explosion of flowers, poppy hats and poppy dresses. I see them leaning out of balcony windows as far as the market that brightens Salisbury Place. Excuse me. I'm taking it all in. Clogs ringing out over the cobblestones, mingled voices that carry me away, and the great bell tower tolling with a heart 10 times bigger than mine. Is that my father? No, it is not your father. It's chiming for 1 o'clock. It only tolls once a day, Madeline answers, out of breath. We cross the square. Music can be heard around the corner of a side street, as mischievous and melancholic as the harmonious glitter. The melody takes my breath away. Inside me, it's raining and shining at the same time. That's a barrel organ. Nice, isn't it? Madeline tells me. It functions in much the same way as your heart, which is probably why you like it so much. It's mechanical on the outside, with emotions on the inside. I'm convinced I have just heard the most delightful sound of my life. The fiery surprise has only just begun. A minuscule girl, like a tree in blossom, steps out in front of the barrel organ and begins to sing. Her voice is like a nightingale's, but with words. My spectacles have been mislaid. I didn't want to wear them. Fire girl behind those shades. My face looked funny, I'm afraid. Her arms look like branches, and her curly black hair sets her face aglow, playing the shadow to its fire. Her tiny nose is so perfect. I don't know how she could breathe through it. Perhaps it is just for decoration. But she dances like a bird on the feminine scaffolding of stiletto heels. Her eyes are so huge that you could take your time plunging in. They betray a fierce determination. She carries her head high like a miniature flamenco dancer. Her breasts resemble two meringues so exquisitely big it would be rude not to eat them on the spot. I don't mind if I'm half blind. When I sing or when I kiss, I prefer to close my eyes in this hazy state of bliss. I feel hot. The little singer's merry-go-round terrifies me. But I'm also dying to climb up there. The smell of candy floss and dust makes my throat feel parched. I've got no idea how this pink carousel works, but I have to climb on board. Suddenly, like in a musical comedy, I burst into song. Dr. Madeline gives me a look that says, "Take your hands off that stove now." Oh, my little fire, let me taste your attire. Shred your clothes to a tatter as confetti to make them scatter, then I'll kiss you in that shower. Did I hear myself say confetti? Madeline's gaze speaks volumes. Lost in a heartbeat, far away on my own street, I can't look the sky in the eye, all I see is fire. We began to sing together, back and forth. I'll guide you through the city's passes, and I'll be your special pair of glasses. You'll be the match I strike, yes, you'll be the match I strike. I've got something to admit. I hear you now, but should you sit upon a bench I couldn't tell between your handsome self and it. Let's stroke each other eyes shut tight, till our skeletons catch a light. Let's start a fire on the hour, my cuckoo clock chimes midnight. I'm a little fire girl, so it's no surprise when the music stops I can't open my eyes. I blaze like a match, 1,000 flames burn my glasses, so it's no surprise I can't open my eyes. As our voices rise in unison, her left heel gets caught between two cobblestones. She teeters like a spinning top at the edge of its flight and lands spread eagle on the icy path. An accident of comical violence. Blood runs down her dress dress in feathers as she looks like a crushed gull. Sprawled on the cobblestones, she still stirs me. She struggles to pull on a pair of spectacles with wonky sides, then staggers like a sleepwalker. Her mother holds her more firmly by the hand than is usual for the parent. You could say she's restraining her. I try to say something, but the words stick into my throat. I wonder how eyes as huge and wonderful as hers can be so ineffectual that she bumps into things. Hi, Jack! Thank you for being here! Good morning! We started a new story today, so I hope you enjoy. I try to say something, but the words stick in my throat. I wonder how eyes as huge and wonderful as hers can be so ineffectual that she bumps into things. Dr. Madeline and the little girl's mother exchange a few words, like the owners of two dogs who have just been in a fight. My heart races again, and I'm finding it hard to catch my breath. Is my clock swelling and rising up in my throat? Has this fire girl just stepped out of an egg? Is she edible? Is she made of chocolate? What the hell is going on? I try to look her in the eye, but her mouth has kidnapped my gaze. I didn't know it was possible to spend so much time staring at a mouth. All of a sudden, my Cuckoo Clock Heart starts ringing loudly, far louder than when I'm having an attack. I can feel my gears whirring at top speed, as if I swallowed a helicopter. The chiming hurts my eardrums, so I block my ears, which only makes it worse. My clock hands are going to sever my throat. Dr. Madeline moves to calm me with slow hand gestures, like a bird tamer trying to catch a panicked canary in its cage. I'm horribly hot. I like to be a golden eagle, or a majestically cool seagull, but instead I'm a stressed canary ensnared by its own startled movements. I hope the little singer hadn't seen me. My tick-tock sound dulls. My eyes open and I am this close to the blue sky. The doctor's iron fist has clamped down on my shirt collar, gently raising my heels off the ground. Next, Madeline grabs me by the arm. We're going back home immediately. You've frightened everybody. Everybody. She looks furious and worried at the same time. I feel ashamed, but I'm also busy committing to memory the pictures that I have of this tiny shrub of a girl who sings without glasses and stares the sun in the face. Almost without realizing it, I'm falling in love. Except I do realize it too. Inside my clock, it's the hottest day on earth. After a quarter of an hour of clock maintenance and a delicious bowl of noodle soup, I'm back to my funny old normal state. Madeline looks strained the way she does when she has to sing for too long to get me to sleep, but this time she seems worried. More worried. Your heart is only an implant. It's more fragile than a normal heart and will always be that way. A clockwork mechanism can't filter emotions the way human tissue, as well as human tissue. You have to be very careful. What happened in town today when you saw that little singer only confirms my fear. Love is too dangerous for you. I couldn't take my eyes off her mouth. Don't say that. What was that vibrate? That was my phone! I was getting a spam call. I should actually probably, hold on. I'm going to, there we go. Turn off all sound on my phone. That was my phone. Let's see. I couldn't take my eyes off her mouth. Don't say that! Her dimples are a never-ending game. Her smile is always changing. I could watch her forever. You don't understand. You think it's a game, but you're playing with fire, and that's very dangerous when you have a heart made of wood. Your gears hurt you when they cough, don't they? Yes. Well, that's nothing compared to the suffering that love can inflict. All love's pleasures and joys are paid for one day with suffering. And the more passionately you love, the more your pain will increase. Okay. And the more passionately you love, the more your pain will increase. You'll find out what it means to miss somebody, the torment of jealousy and incomprehension of what it feels like to be rejected and unfairly treated. You will be chilled to the bone, and your blood will form little blocks of ice that float underneath your skin. Your Cuckoo Clock Heart will explode. I was the one who grafted that clock onto you, and I have a perfect understanding of its limits. It might survive the intensity of pleasure, and beyond, but is not robust enough to endure the torment of love. Madeline smiles sadly. Still that twitch that vanishes instantly. But at least she's not angry this time. Chapter 3. Oh God. Chapter 3. Here we go. In which little Jack befriends Anna, Luna, and a hamster called Cunnilingus. The mystery surrounding the little singer tantalizes me. In my mind's eye, I stockpile images of her long lashes, her dimples, and her perfect nose, and the curve of her lips. I nurture her memory the way you tend a delicate flower. This fills my days. I can only think of one thing, finding her again. I want to taste that sensation I couldn't put into words, preferably as soon as possible. So what if the cuckoo risks being spat out through my nose? So what if my heart needs mending more often? I've been having it repaired ever since I was born. So what if I'm in danger of dying? My life's in danger if I don't see her again. And, at my age, that's even more serious. I'm beginning to understand why the doctor was so keen to put off my encounter with the outside world. You only ask for strawberries with sugar every day once you've discovered a taste for them. Some evenings, the little singer pays me a visit in my dreams. Tonight she's 2 centimeters tall. She enters my heart through its keyhole and straddles my hour hand. She fixes me with her elegant doe-like eyes. I may be asleep, but it's still an impressive sight. Gently, she starts licking my minute hand. She's gathering my nectar. Something clockwork starts whirring into action, and I'm not sure it's just my heart. Tick-tock ding, tick-tock dong. Bloody cuckoo. I wake up with a jolt. Love is a dangerous thing for your tiny heart, even in your dreams. So please dream softly, Madeline whispers to me. Go back to sleep. As if that was easy with a heart like mine. Next day I'm woken by the tapping of a hammer. Madeline is standing over a chair, banging a nail into the wall above my bed. She looks very determined, and she's got a piece of slate between her teeth. He might as well be driving a nail straight into my skull. Then she hangs up the slate, which has the following words inscribed sinisterly upon it. Firstly, don't touch the hands of your Cuckoo Clock Heart. Secondly, master your anger. Thirdly, never fall in love, for if you do, the hour hand will poke through your skin, your bones will shatter, and your heart will break once more. The slate terrorizes me. I don't even need to read what's on it. I know the words inside and out and back and front, and they blow an ill wind between my gears. But as fragile as my clock may be, the little singer has settled in comfortably. She set down her heavy suitcases in every corner, and yet I'm lighter than before I've met her. Does it matter what it costs? I have to find a way of tracking her down again. What is her name? Where can I find her? I know she can't see very well and likes to sing like a bird. But with words. That's all. I tried discreetly asking the young couples who come to Dr. Madeline's to adopt. No answer. I had my luck with Arthur. I heard her singing in town once, but I haven't seen her for a while now, pet. The girls might be more inclined to point me in the right direction. Anna and Luna are two prostitutes who always came up around Christmas time with downcast looks to their rounded tummies. From the way they keep saying, No, we don't know anything, absolutely nothing. Nothing at all, do we, Anna? Not a single thing, not us. I can tell I'm on the right track. They look like two overgrown kids, which is what they are. Two 30-year-old kids with clingy leopard skin costumes. Their clothes always have a strange whiff of Provençal herbs, even when they're not smoking. Their cigarettes create a foggy halo and make the girls laugh so hard they must be getting their brains tickled. Their favorite game involves teaching me new words. They never reveal the meanings. They just want to make sure I can pronounce everything perfectly. Of all the wonderful names they teach me, my favorite is Cunnilingus. I imagine him as an ancient Roman hero, this Cunnilingus. You have to say it again and again. Cunnilingus. Cunnilingus. What a fantastic word. Anna and Luna never show up empty-handed. There is always a bunch of flowers nicked from the cemetery, or the frock of a coat of a client who was croaked during coitus. For my birthday, they gave me a hamster. I call it Cunnilingus. They seem very touched that I chose that name. Cunnilingus, my love, Luna always sings to it as she taps the bar of the cage with her painted nails. Anna is a tall, faded rose with a rainbow gaze. Her left pupil is a quartz stone, inserted by Madeline to replace the eye that was gouged out by a customer who didn't want to pay. And it changes color with the weather. She speaks quickly, like she's scared of silence. When I asked her about the little singer, she tells me she never heard of her, but her words come out even faster than usual. I can tell she's dying to let me in on a great secret. So I decided to ask her a question or two about love, but in hushed tones, because I don't really want Madeline meddling. I've been working at love for a long time, you know. I haven't always been on the receiving end of a great deal of it, but sometimes just a simple act of giving makes me happy. I'm no good as a professional. I fall in love as soon as someone's a regular customer, then I start refusing their money. For a while they come every day, and even bring me presents, but their enthusiasm wears off eventually. I know I'm not supposed to fall for them, but I can't help it. It's ridiculous, but I enjoy believing in the impossible. The impossible. It's not easy being simple-hearted when you're in my profession. I think I understand. And then there's Oh, excuse me! One moment, I gotta go get that. Sorry, I'm back. I had gotten mail. We had got a delivery. And I'm getting a delivery. I don't know how long the person was standing out there. I was waiting for Lemmy to translate the sound. We got a delivery! It's a new scratching post for the cats. It's a new scratching post for the cats. It's a new scratching post for the cats. It wasn't a creator. It was Lemmy translating what was happening upstairs for me. We were expecting a package. It's a new scratching post for the kitties. Because, Booby destroyed the scratching post he had. And he's getting to be a big boy, so he wants more stretching room. So, ended up getting him a new scratching post. So I'll have to put that together after stream. Which will be fun. Which will be a lot of fun. Oh, Jack! I posted... I don't know if you saw on Twitter, I posted a picture of when I was a little girl. When I was a little girl, a creator. I don't know if you saw that. It's on my Twitter. It's on my Twitter. I hope you like it. I hope you like it. Alright. Let's see, where was I? Oh. And then there's Luna, a shimmering blonde, a forerunner of the famous Egyptian singer Dalida, with her slow gestures and broken smile, a tightrope walker on the most speedily stilettos. Part of her right leg froze during the coldest day on Earth. Madeline replaced it with walnut wood prosthesis, complete with its own poker wick suspenders. She reminded me of a little singing girl. They share the same Nightingale accent, the same spontaneity. You wouldn't happen to know a little singer who talks just like you, and who's always bumping into things, I ask her every now and then. She pretends not to hear me and changes the subject. I suppose Madeline made them promise not to let on about the little singer. One fine day, bored with ignoring my litany of questions, she replies, I don't know anything about the little Andalusian. What's an Andalusian? I didn't say anything, nothing at all. Why don't you ask Anna? Anna doesn't know anything either. I try the old trick of sad boy. Head down, eyes half closed. Thank you. I was a cute kid. I was a cute kid when I was little. I was a cute kid. Not so much now, but I was really cute as a kid. And yes, Creator is actually a big guy. He has to be. I mean, we have to restrain weird anomalies all the time, so you kind of have to be strong to be in that kind of profession. But he's always tired. I tried to capture him the best way I could remember when I was a kid. He was always tired. He is always tired. He hasn't changed very much now. A few more gray hairs, but not really much has changed with him. Not much has changed with Creator. He's still relatively the same, just with a few more gray hairs, of which I caused because I was a bratty little kid. I'm proud of giving him those gray hairs now. Oh gosh, let's see. I love those slippers too. I wish I could have another pair of those in my size now. Those kitty slippers. I wish. Okay, back to the story. Let's see. From what I can see, you've already learned the basics of seduction, Anna continues. Do you promise not to tell anybody? Of course not. She starts whispering, and her words are barely audible. Your little singer comes from Granada, in Andalusia, which is far away from here. It's been a long time since I've heard her singing in town. Perhaps she's gone back to the country where she was born, to live with her grandparents. Unless she's just at school, adds Anna, her voice like a 33 RPM record being played at 45 RPM. Thank you. Shh, cállate, snaps Luna, who only breaks into her native tongue when she's annoyed. My blood's fizzing. I can't believe my luck. A surge of pure joy. My dream puffs up like a pastry in the oven. I think it's ready to make the journey into reality now. Tomorrow I'll harness my energy at the top of the hill, unfurl my mainsail, and head for the school. Except that first, I'll have to convince Madeline. Go to school? But you'll get bored. You'll be forced to read books you don't like, where here you can choose whatever takes your fancy. You have to sit down for hours on end and you won't be allowed to talk, or make a noise. You'll just be made to wait until break time just to daydream. I know what you're like, how much you'll hate it. Perhaps, but I'm curious to find out what people learn at school. You want to study? Yes, that's right. I want to study, and I can't do it all on my own here. We're trying to outmaneuver each other with our lies. I'm caught between wanting to laugh and flying into a rage. To start with, you better off reviewing what's written on your slate. It seems to me that you're forgetting rather too quickly. I worry about what might happen to you down there. Everybody goes to school. When you're at work, I feel all alone on the top of the mountain, and I'd like to meet some children my own age. It's time for me to find out about the world, don't you see? Finding out about the world at school. A long sigh. All right. If you want to go to school, I won't stand in your way. Madeline eventually concedes, sounding as if a small part of her has died. I try my best to contain my joy. It might not be very tactful to dance around with my arms in the air. The day I've been waiting for has come at last. I'm wearing a black suit that makes me look very grown up in spite of my 11 years. Madeline has instructed me to never take off my jacket, not even in class. That way no one will find out about my cuckoo clock. Before setting off, I'm careful to slip a few pair of glasses that I've collected from her workshop into my satchel. They take up more room than my exercise books. I've moved Cunnilingus to my left shirt pocket, just above my clockwork heart. He pokes his head out from time to time, looking thoroughly satisfied. Be careful he doesn't bite anyone, joked Anna and Luna as he started down the hill. Limping some way behind us comes Arthur, creaking silently. The school is located in the well-heeled area of Carlton Hill, just opposite St. Giles's Cathedral. Over by the entrance is a country of fur coats and women cackling loudly as big hens. The way Anna and Luna laugh makes them scowl. They observe Arthur's limping gait and the bump that makes my left lung swell suspiciously. Their husbands, suited and booted, look like walking coat hangers. They pretend to be shocked by our twisted tribe, but that doesn't stop them from eyeballing the two girls' cleavage. After a quick goodbye to my makeshift family, I walk through the huge gates. You'd think I'd been enrolled in an institute for giants. The schoolyard looks impossible to cross, even if its football goalposts add a slightly welcoming touch. I take my first tentative steps, scrutinizing the different faces. The pupils look like miniature versions of their parents. My clock can be heard rather too clearly through their whispering. They're looking at me as if I got an infectious disease. All of a sudden, a brown-haired girl stands in front of me, stares and starts saying, tick-tock, and laughing. The whole yard joins in. It feels just the same when family comes to Dr. Madeline to choose their children, but worse. Even though I examine every girl's face, there's no sign of the little singer. What if Luna made a mistake? We go into the classroom. Madeline was right. I'm bored rigid. Bloody school without the little singer, and now I'm enrolled for the whole year. How am I going to tell Madeline I don't want to study now? During break, I began my survey by asking anyone if they know the little under-the-scene singer, the one who's always bumping into things. Nobody answers. Doesn't she go to school here? No answer. I wonder if anything serious has happened to her. Did she bump into something hard and hurt herself badly? Just then, an odd-looking boy rises up from the ranks. He's older than the others, and the top of his head is almost higher than the railings. The moment they see him, the rest of the students cower. His jet-black eyes make my blood run cold. He's skinny as a dead tree, elegant as a scarecrow dressed by a fine tailor, and his spiky hair jets out like a bird's wings. Hey you, new boy, what do you want with the little singer? His voice is as deep as a talking tombstone. One day I saw her singing and bumping into things. I'd like to give her a pair of glasses as a present. My voice is quavering. I must look at least 130. Nobody's allowed to talk to me about Miss Acacia and her spectacles. Nobody, you understand. Least of all a midget like you. Don't you ever mention her name again. Do you understand, midget? I don't answer. A murmur rises from the crowd. Joe. Each second weighs heavily. Suddenly, he cocks his ear in my direction and asks, "How do you make that strange tick-tock noise?" I don't say anything. He heads calmly over to me, stooping his tall carcass to put an ear next to my chest. My heart is palpitating. My clock is palpitating. Time has stopped for me. The boy's beard stings like a barbed wire across my chest. Cunnilingus points his snout and sniffs the top of Joe's head. If he starts peeing, things get complicated. All of a sudden, Joe tears off my buttons and rips open my jacket to expose the clock hands poking out of my shirt. The crowd of curious onlookers goes, "Ooh." I'm so embarrassed, but he might as well have pulled down my trousers. He listens to my heart for a while, then stands up slowly. "Is that your heart making all that noise?" "Yes." "You're in love with her, aren't you?" His deep, conceited voice makes my bones shiver. My brain wants to say no, no, but my heart has faster access to my lips. "Yes, I am." The students start whispering, "Oh." The anger blazing at the back of Joe's eyes is tinged with sadness, which makes him look even more terrifying. Just one look from him and the schoolyard falls silent. Even the wind seems to obey him. "The little singer, as you call her, is the love of my life, and she's not here anymore. Don't you ever dare talk to me about her again. I don't even want to hear you thinking about her, or I'll smash that wooden clock over your head. I'll break it, do you hear me? I'll break it so badly you'll never be able to love again." His fingers quiver with rage, even when he just clenched his fist. Just a few hours ago, I thought my heart was a ship ready to cut through an ocean of disapproval. I knew I wasn't the sturdiest heart in the world, but I believed in the strength of my own enthusiasm. I was so fired up by the idea of finding the little singer that nothing could have stopped me. In less than 5 minutes, Joe had reset my clock to real time, swapping my colorful galleon for a dilapidated old tub. "I'll break it so badly, you'll never be able to love again," he says once more. "Cuckoo," answers my wooden hull. The sound of my own voice is cut short. You'd think I'd just been punched in the gut. As I climb back up off the seat, I wonder how such a gorgeous, bespectacled goldfinch could have fallen into the claws of a vulture like Joe. I try to cheer myself up with the thought of perhaps my little singer came to school without her glasses on, and that she couldn't see what she was getting herself into. Where could she be now? A middle-aged woman interrupts my anxious reverie. She's holding Joe firmly by the hand, unless it's the other way around, given the vulture's size. She looks like him, just a more withered version, with an elephant's arse. "Are you the boy who lives up there with the witch? You know she delivers children from prostitutes' bellies. You probably came out of a prostitute's belly, too. Everyone knows the old lady's been barren for a long time." When adults get involved, a new threshold of ugliness is always crossed. Despite my obstinate silence, Joe and his mother carry on insulting me for a good part of the journey. I struggle to reach the top of the hill. The day weighs so heavily on my clock hands that I'm having to drag myself along like a ball and chain. Bloody clocker dreams. I'd happily hurl you down off the seat. That evening, no matter how much Madeline sings to help me send me off to sleep, it doesn't work. When I decide to tell her about Joe, she explains that perhaps he treated me like that to look big in front of other people's eyes, and he's not necessarily all bad. He must be very smitten with the little singer, too. The torment of love can transform people into wretched monsters, she tells me. It annoys me that she's making excuses for him. She kisses me on my clock dial and slows down my cardiac rate by pressing down on my gears with her index finger. I close my eyes in the end, but I'm not smiling. Chapter 4. A fistful of emotions, a poked-out eye, and a hasty departure from Edinburgh. A year goes by, with Joe sticking to me as if magnetized by my clock hands, punching my clock in full view of everyone. Sometimes I want to tear out his curl-black shock of hair. I try not to flinch when he humiliates me, but he's getting me down. My quest to find the little singer is proving fruitless. Nobody dares answer my questions. At school, Joe is the law. Today at break, I take out one of Arthur's eggs from one of my pullover sleeves. I'm trying to track down Miss Acacia by thinking about her as hard as I can. I forget about Joe. I even forget that I'm in this bloody school. As I stroke the egg, a beautiful dream glides across the screen of my eyelids. The eggshell cracks open and the little singer appears, her body covered in red feathers. You gotta go, Jack? It's okay. I'll see you later, friend. Thank you for stopping by. Have a great rest of your day. The eggshell cracks open and the little singer appears, her body covered in red feathers. I hold her between my thumb and index finger, frightened of crushing her but not wanting her to fly away. A tender fire sparks between my fingers and her eyes flicker open, when all of a sudden my skull goes crack. Egg yolk is trickling down my cheek, the tears of my dreams draining away. Joe towers over the scene with the remains of the eggshell between his fingers. Everybody's laughing and some people even applaud. Next time I'll smash your heart against your skull. In class, everyone makes fun of the eggshell's pieces stuck in my hair. I'm itching for revenge. The fairies in my dreams vanish. I spend nearly as much time despising Joe as I do loving Miss Acacia. Dreams have a hard time surviving when confronted with reality. Joe's humiliations continue day after day. I've become the toy that he uses to calm his nerves and dull his melancholy. No matter how often I water the flowers that are my memories of the little singer, they are being starved of sunlight. Madeline goes to great lengths to comfort me, but she never wants to hear any tales of the heart. Arthur hardly has any memory eggs left in his pouch, and he sings less and less. On my birthday, Anna and Luna came over for this evening. It's the same surprise every year. As usual, they're having fun putting perfume on cunnilingus. But this time Anna gets a little over-enthusiastic when she douses him. The hamster stiffens in a spasm and keels over, stone dead. The sight of my faithful companion stretched out in his cage makes me very sad. A lone cuckoo escapes from my chest. As a consolation prize, I get a geography lesson on Andalusia from Luna. Ah, Andalusia. If only I could be sure that Miss Acacia was there, I'd leave right away. 4 years have gone by since my encounter with the little singer, and nearly 3 since I started school. I still look for her everywhere, but I can never find her. Little by little, my memories of her are being crushed under the weight of time. On the night before my last day of school, I go to bed with a bitter aftertaste in my mouth. I don't get a wink of sleep. I'm too busy thinking about what I want to achieve tomorrow, because this time I've made up my mind. It's time that I conquer the amorous West. I just need to find out where the little singer is right now. And the only person who can answer that question is Joe. I watch dawn tracing the shadows to the beat of my tick-tock. It's June 27th and we're in the school playground. It's June 27th and we're in the school playground underneath a blue sky. So blue you'd think it was anywhere but Edinburgh. The sleepless nights have sharpened my nerves. I make straight for Joe, with more than purpose in my stride. But before I had a chance to say anything, he grabs my shirt collar and hoiks me off the ground. My heart creaks, my anger overflows. The cuckoo hisses. Joe taunts the crowd around us. Take off your shirt and show us... Take off your shirt and show us what you got on your chest. We want to see your thing that goes tick-tock. Yeah, roars the crowd. With a swoop of his arm, he rips off my shirt and jams his nail into my dial. How does this open? You need a key. Hand it over. I haven't got it here. It's at home, so leave me alone. He picks the lock with his little finger, niggling at it furiously. The dial gives away at the end. See, we don't need a key after all. Who wants a grope? One after another, students who have never said a word to me take it in turns to tug at my clock hands and activate my gears. They're hurting me, and they're not even looking at me. The cuckoo can't stop hiccuping. They clap and laugh. Whole playground joins in. Cuckoo, 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 cuckoo. Something flips inside my brain. Dreams anesthetized for years. Pent-up rage, humiliation. Everything is headed for the floodgates. A barrage is about to give way. I can't hold back anymore. Where's Miss Acacia? I don't think I heard you properly, said Joe, twisting my arm. Where is she? Tell me where she is. I'll find her whether she's here or in Andalusia. Do you hear me? Joe pins my face to the ground, so I can't move. My cuckoo is singing at the top of his voice. I feel like my esophagus is on fire. Something is changing inside of me. Violent spasms shake me every 3 seconds. Joe turns around triumphantly. So, you're setting off to Andalusia just like that, he asks through gritted teeth. Yes, I'm leaving, and I'm leaving today. My eyes are bulging, and so is my throat, and my movements, too. I'm turning into a pair of shears that will chop up anything and everything. Pretending to be a dog sniffing a turd, Joe brings his nose close to my clock. The whole playground bursts out laughing. This is too much. I grab him by the neck and ram his face against my clock hands. His skull cracks loudly against my wooden heart. The clapping stops dead. I dealt him a second blow, more violent this time, and a third. Time seems to stand still. I love a photograph to document this moment. His first cries for help shatter the silence, just as the first spurts of blood splatter his nicely ironed clothes of the creeps in the front row. When the hour hand impales itself on the pupil of his right eye, his socket turns into a bloody fountain. All Joe's terror is concentrated in his left eye, as it watches the shower of his own blood. I relax my grip, and Joe yelps like a poodle whose paw has accidentally been trodden on. The blood trickles between his fingers. I don't feel the slightest bit of compassion for him. Silence follows, and it lasts. My clock is burning. I could barely touch it. Joe doesn't move. Is he dead? I like him to stop wiping his feet on my dreams, but I don't necessarily want him dead. I'm starting to feel frightened now. The sky shimmers with beads of blood. All around us, kids stand like statues. Perhaps I really have killed Joe. Who have thought that one day I would be worrying about Joe dying. I run away, the whole world on my heels as I cross the playground. I climb up the left pillar and clamber onto the school roof. The realization of what I've just done chills me to the bone. My heart produces the same noise as when I first fell in love with the little singer. Up on the roof, I can make out the top of Arthur's seat, goring the mist. Oh, Madeleine, how furious you'd be. A swarm of migrating birds hover above me as if stacked on the bank of clouds. I'd like to catch hold of their wings and tear myself away from the earth. Excuse me. If only my heart's troubles would take flight, nothing else would matter. Please, dear birds, take me to Andalusia, and I'll find my way from there. But the birds are out of reach, like chocolates piled high on the shelf, or the alcoholic flask of tears in the cellar, or my dreams of the little singer where I have to climb over Joe in order to get to her. If I've killed him, things will be even more complicated. My clock is throbbing. Madeleine, you've got your work cut out for you. I must try to turn back time. I grab the hour hand that's still warm with blood and tug it backwards with one quick stroke. My gears whine. The pain is unbearable. Nothing happened. I heard shouting, and they're heading just this way from the playground. Joe is holding his right eye. I'm almost reassured to hear the injured poodle yelping. A teacher intervenes, and I hear the children denouncing me, all eyes scouring the playground like a radar. Panic, I tumbled from the roof and jumped into the first tree I see. I scratch my arms on the branches and go crashing to my ground. A gentleman gives me wings. My legs have never been in such a hurry to get to the top of the mountain. Did you have a nice day at school today? Madeline asks as she tidies her shopping away to the kitchen cupboard. Yes and no, I answered, trembling all over. She looks at me, sees my twisted hour hand, and fixes me with a disapproving stare. You saw the little singer again, didn't you? The last time you came home with your heart in such a filthy mess, you'd heard her singing. Madeleine talks to me like I'm a schoolboy sloping home with his best shoes ruined after playing football. As she tries to straighten my clock hand with a crowbar, I start telling her about the fight, but it makes my heart beat faster again. You have been very foolish. Can I turn back time by making my clock hands go backwards? No, you'll put pressure on your gears and it'll be extremely painful, but it won't make the slightest bit of difference. You can never undo your past actions, not even when you have a clockwork heart. I was expected to be scolded horribly for poking Joe's eye out, but as hard as Madeline tries to look annoyed, she's not entirely successful. And if her voice chokes, it's more with concern than anger. She seems to think it's less serious to poke out a bully's eye than to fall in love. Strains of "Oh, When the Saints" suddenly came our way. It's unusual for Arthur to be paying us a visit this time of night. Ugh, a carriage full of police officers is making its way uphill, and they're all looking like their wee minds are set, if you know what I mean, he says out of breath. I've got to go. They're coming to find me because of Joe's eye. A fistful of different emotions stick in my throat. The rose-tinted dream of finding a little singer combined with my fear of listening to my heart beating against the bars of a prison cell, but a wave of melancholy drowns out everything. No more Arthur, no more Anna, no more Luna, and above all, no more Madeline. I'll come across a few sad looks in the course of my life, but the one Madeline gives me right now will always be, along with just one other, the saddest I'll ever witness. Arthur, go find Anna and Luna and try to find a carriage. Jack must leave town as fast as possible. I'll stay here to greet the police. Arthur plunges into the night, limping as fast as he can to reach the bottom of the mountain. I'll get your things ready. You need to be out of here in less than 10 minutes. What will you tell them? That you haven't come home, and in a few days I'll say that you've disappeared. You'll be declared dead after a while, and Arthur will help me dig your grave at the foot of your favorite tree next to Cunnilingus. What will you put in the coffin? There won't be a coffin, just an epitaph carved into a tree. The police won't run any checks. That's the advantage of people thinking I'm a witch. They won't go rummaging through my graves. Madeline prepares me a bag containing several flasks of tears and a few items of clothing. I don't know how to help her. I could say something meaningful or fold my underwear, but I'm like a nail stuck in the floorboard. She has the second set of keys to my heart by tucking them into my frock coat so that I can always wind myself up. Then she distributes a few oatcakes wrapped in brown paper among the bag's contents and hides some books in my trouser pockets. I can't carry all that around. I'm trying to behave like a grown-up, even if I'm very touched by all this fussing. By way of a response, she flashes me her famous twitch of a smile. No matter the situation, from the funniest to the most tragic, she always has to make something to eat. I sit down on my back to shut it properly. Don't forget, as soon as you settle down somewhere, you need to make contact with the clockmaker. You mean a doctor? Absolutely not. Never go to a doctor if there's something wrong with your heart. No doctor would understand. You'll need to find a clockmaker to sort it out. I want to tell her how much I love her and how grateful I am. There are many words jostling on my tongue, but they refuse to cross my lips. All that's left are my arms, so I hug Madeline tight. Careful, you hurt your clock if you hug too hard, she says in a voice that's gentle and ravaged. You must go now. I don't want them to find you here. We pull apart and Madeline opens the door. I'm still inside the house, but I already feel cold. I get through the whole flask of tears as I'm running down the familiar path. It lightens my load, but not my heart. I wolf down the oatcakes to soak up the alcohol, and my tummy swells up like a pregnant woman's. On the other side of Arthur's seat. Hello, Booby. Hi. Yes, this is a different chair. It's a different chair, Booby. I know, it's weird. On the other side of Arthur's seat, I can see the police officers. Joe and his mother are with them. I tremble with a mixture of fear and euphoria. A carriage is waiting for us at the foot of the mountain. In the glare of the street lamps, it stands out like a piece of the night. Anna, Luna, and Arthur clambering quickly. The coachman, with his mustache stretching all the way to his eyebrows, shouts at the horses in his deep voice. With my cheek pressed against the window, I watch Edinburgh disappear into the mist. The locks extend from hill to hill, measuring out the distance I'm committing to put behind me. Arthur snores like a steam engine. Anna and Luna dangle their heads. They look like Siamese twins. The tick-tock of my clock echoes in the silence of the night. I realize that this little world of people will set off again without me. At daybreak, the twisted tune of "Oh, When the Saints" wakes me up. I never heard it sung so slowly. The carriage has come to a stop. "We're here," said Anna. Luna puts an old birdcage on my knees. This is a carrier pigeon that a romantic customer gave me a few years back. It's a very well-trained bird. Write to us with your news. Roll your letters around his left claw and he'll deliver the message to us. We'll be able to stay in touch that way. And he'll find you again wherever you are, even in Andalusia, the land where women look you straight in the eye. Good luck, pequeñito. Pequeño. I can speak Spanish, but I can't read it very well. Excuse me. Pequeñito, she adds, hugging me tightly. Excuse me. Chapter 5, in which little Jack tries to find a decent clock doctor in Paris. As the train pulls out of the station, it snorts loudly, making a haunting din. The locomotive's syncopated rhythm set me on edge, and my heart might as well be made of popcorn. I'll have to learn to travel better. When I panic, my clockwork heart is like a steam engine turning a bend with his wheels coming unstuck. I'm traveling over the rails of my own fear. What am I frightened of? Of you, Madeline. Or rather, of me without you. The steam in my own clockwork panic seems under the rails. I want to turn back time. Put my old rattle-trap of a heart in your arms, Madeline. Our last hug is still warm, but I'm already as frozen as when I first met you on the coldest day on Earth. Oh, Madeline, I haven't even left the shadows of Edinburgh behind before drinking all of your tears. I promise at the next stop I'll consult a clockmaker. You'll see, I'll come back to you in fine condition. Or rather, just out of kilter enough for you to exercise your mending talents over me once more. The more time that goes by, the more this train frightens me. Its puffing, rattling heart seems as dilapidated as my own. It must be terrifically in love with its engine. Unless, like me, it's suffering from the sadness of what it's left behind. I feel alone in my compartment. Madeline's tears have installed a revolving door inside my head. I'll be sick if I don't speak to somebody. I notice a tall man leaning against a window, writing something. From a distance, he looks like Arthur, but the impression disappears the closer I get. Apart from the shadow he casts, there's nobody near him. Tipsy on loneliness, I launch right in. What are you writing, sir? The man gives a start and hides his face under his left arm. Did I frighten you? You surprised me. It's not the same. He continues writing, concentrating as hard as if he were painting a picture. The turnstile on my brain starts to pick up speed. Lemmy! Lemmy, no! Bad Lemmy! One moment. Lemmy, no! Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, now let me start to act up again. Jeez. I get right back into it. And I get back to normal, so does the rest of the house. And Lemmy especially. Lemmy's been quiet for the last few days, letting me rest, but I guess now that I'm doing better, he's gonna be a pain in the butt again. Alright, let me see, where was I? He continues writing, concentrating as hard as if he were painting a picture. The turnstile in my brain starts to pick up speed. What do you want, little one? I want to go and win the heart of a woman in Andalusia, but I don't know anything about love. The women I knew never wanted to teach me anything on the subject, and I'm feeling all alone in this train. I thought perhaps you might be able to help me. You've landed the wrong person, my boy. I'm not very gifted when it comes to love. Not with living people, at any rate. No, it never really worked out for me with living people. I started to shudder. I'm reading over his shoulder, which seemed to annoy him. That red ink. It's blood. Now go away, little one. Go away. He's copying out the same phase, methodically, on several pieces of paper. Your humble servant, Jack the Ripper. We've got the same first name. Do you think that's a good sign? He shrugs, vexed that I am not more in awe of him. The engine whistles itself hoarse in the distance. The fog creeps through the windows. I'm shivering. Go away, little one. He strikes the floor with his left heel, the way one might scare a cat. Not that I am one, but it does have a certain effect on me. The sound of his boots competes with that of the train. He turns toward me, his features razor sharp. Go away now. The fury in his eyes reminds me of Joe. It's like a remote control that switches my legs to tremble mode. He heads towards me. Come on, you mists, he drones. Let the doors of haunting trains slam shut. I'll give you the ghost of handsome women to carve up in the mist, a twist of blonde or brunette. His voice becomes a groan. I can rip them open without even frightening them. Signing off, your humble servant, Jack the Ripper. Don't be afraid, my boy. You'll soon learn how to survive by frightening others. Don't be afraid, my boy. You'll soon learn how to survive by frightening others. My heart and body are racing out of control, and this time I've got nothing to do with love. I tear down the train corridors. Nobody. The Ripper chases after me, smashing all the windows with a dagger. A black swarm of birds dives into the compartment, clustering around him. He's making faster progress by walking than I am running. New compartment. No one around. The racket of his footsteps get louder. The birds multiply, emerging from his jacket, coming out of his eyes, hurling themselves at me. I jump up onto the seats and put some distance between us. I turn around and Jack's eyes light up the whole train. The birds are catching up, where the shadow of Jack the Ripper looms, and I'm aiming for the driver's door at the end of the carriage. Jack's about to rip out my guts. Oh, Madeline, I can't even hear my own clock ticking anymore, though it's stinging in my chest. The Ripper grabs my shoulders. He's going to kill me. He's going to kill me, and I won't have had a time for fall in love. The train slows. It's pulling into the station. Don't be afraid, my boy. You'll soon learn how to survive by frightening others, Jack the Ripper repeats for a last time as he stows his weapon away. I'm trembling with terror. Then he steps off the train and disappears into the crowd of passengers waiting on the platform. Sitting on a bench at King's Cross Station, I begin to come to. The tick-tock of my heart is slowing down, and my clock's wooden casing is still scorching hot. Falling in love can't be as terrifying as finding yourself alone on some ghost train with Jack the Ripper. I thought he was going to kill me. How could a songbird of a girl damage my clock any more than a Ripper? With the tantalizing mischief of her eyes, her army of extra long eyelashes, the formidable curve of her breasts. Impossible. It can't be as dangerous as what I've just lived through. A sparrow lands on my minute hand, and I'm startled. Little idiot, he scared me. His feathers gently caress my dial. I'll just wait for him to fly off. Then I'll set about leaving Great Britain. The cross-channel ferry is less full of nasty surprises than the train to London. Apart from a few elderly ladies who looked like faded flowers, nobody seemed particularly scary. That said, it takes a while for the mist of melancholy to dissolve. I wind up my heart again with the key, and I feel like I'm turning back time. Or at least turning back my memories. It's the first time in my life I've leaned on memories in this way. I've only left the house yesterday, but I feel as if I've been away for ages. In Paris, I'm having lunch by the Seine, in a restaurant steaming with the kinds of vegetable soups I've always loved the smell of but hated eating. Plump waitresses smile at me the way people do at babies. Charming old folks chat in hushed voices. I listen to the clatter of saucepan lids and forks. This warm atmosphere reminds me of Dr. Madeline's old house. I wonder what she's doing on the top of a mountain. I decide to write to her. Dear Madeline, everything is going well. I'm in Paris at the moment. I hope Joe and the police have left you in peace. Don't forget to put the flowers on my grave while you're waiting for me to come back. I miss you, and the house too. I'm taking good care of my clock. I'm going to find a clockmaker to help me recover from all these emotions, just as you told me to. Kiss Arthur, Luna, and Anna for me. Little Jack. I kept my letter deliberately short, so Luna's pigeon can travel light. I like to have some news back as quickly as possible. I rolled my words around the bird's claw and throw them into the Paris sky. He sets off askew. Luna probably tried to give him an original feather cut for when he was courting. She also shaved the sides of his head, and as a result, he looks like a lavatory brush with wings. Perhaps I should have used the conventional postal system. Before going any further, I need to find a good clockmaker. Since I left home, my heart has been grating louder than ever. I'd like it to be fixed before I find the little singer again. I owe Madeline that at least. I ring on the door. Oops. Oh gosh. I did the thing again where I skipped a whole chapter. Ugh. One moment. I ring on the okay, there we go. I ring on the door of a jeweler on the Boulevard Saint-Germain. An old man appears, dressed to the nines. He wants to know the reason for my visit. To repair my clock. Have you brought it with you? Yes. I unbuttoned my jacket, then my shirt. I'm not a doctor, he says dryly. Couldn't you just look at it, to make sure the gears are in the right place? I'm not a doctor, I told you. I am not a doctor. His tone is haughty, but I try to stay calm. The way he looks at my clock, you'd think I was showing him something dirty. I know you're not a doctor. This is a perfectly normal clock. It just needs adjusting from time to time to make sure it functions properly. Clocks are objects intended to measure time and nothing else. Get away from here with that diabolical apparatus of yours. Go away, or I'll call the police. It's just like at school, or with the young couples, all over again. It may be horribly familiar, but I'll never get used to this feeling of injustice. In fact, the older I get, the more painful it becomes. It is only a bloody wooden clock after all. Nothing but gears that allow my heart to beat. An old metal clock with 1,000 pretentious gold plate flourishes dominates the entrance of the shop. It resembles its owner in the same way that certain dogs resemble their master. Just as I'm walking past the door, I give it a good kick, professional footballer style. The clock teeters, its pendulum slamming violently against its sides. As I bolt along the Boulevard Saint-Germain, I heard the tinkle of broken glass behind me. It's amazing how much that sound relaxes me. The second clockmaker, a fat balding chap in his 50s, seems more sympathetic. Oh gosh. I did it again. Jeez. How far? Oh my god, I went way too far ahead. Oh my, I went three chapters far ahead. Oh no. Jeez, what's wrong with me? I don't... How did I do that? I am so sorry. One moment. Oh, I haven't had a scuff stream in a while. Jeez. There we go. There we go. I found my place again. I don't know how I messed that up, but I messed that up real bad. Oh gosh. It's been a while since I did a scuff stream. I'm so sorry. The second clockmaker, a fat balding chap in his 50s, seemed more sympathetic. You should pay a visit to Monsieur Méliès. He is the most inventive illusionist. I'm sure he'll be better placed than I am to sort out your problem, little one. I need a clockmaker, not a magician. Some clockmakers have a whiff of the magician about them, but this particular magician has something of the clockmaker about him. He's like the famous Robert Houdin, whose theater he's just bought, he added cheekily. Pay him a visit and say I sent you. I'm sure he'll fix you up properly. I don't understand why this nice gentleman won't mend me himself, but his easy acceptance of my problem is comforting. And I'm keen to meet a magician who's actually a magician clockmaker. He'll probably look like Madeline. He might even come from the same family. I crossed the Seine. My eyes nearly popped out at the elegance of the giant cathedral, not to mention the parade of derrieres and chignons. The city is a cobblestone wedding cake with a sacred heart on top. Finally, I reached the Boulevard des Italiens, where the famous theater is situated. A young man with lively eyes opens the door. Does a magician live here? Which one? He replies, talking in riddles. A man called Georges Méliès. That's me. He walks like an automaton, jerky and elegant at the same time. He speaks quickly, his hands punctuating his words like living exclamation marks. When I tell him my story, he listens very carefully. Above all, it's the conclusion that interests him. Even if the clock functions as my heart, the maintenance work I'm asking of you is straightforward for a clockmaker. As the clockmaker conjurer opens my dial, he listens to my chest with a stethoscope that allows him to hear the minuscule elements. His attitude softens, as if his childhood is flashing before his eyes. He activates the system, setting off the clockwork cuckoo, then promptly expresses his admiration for Madeline's work. How did you manage to bend the hour hand? He asks. I'm in love, but I don't know anything about love, so I get angry. I get into fights, and sometimes I even try to speed up time or else to slow it down. Is it badly damaged? He laughs like a child. Except he's got a mustache. No, everything is working very nicely. What exactly did you want to know? Well, Dr. Madeline, who fitted me with this clock, says that my makeshift heart isn't suitable for falling in love. She's convinced it wouldn't survive such an emotional shock. Really? I see. He screws up his eyes and strokes his chin. Katie knocked his... Calvin Frostdale! Hi! Hi, Cal! Thank you for stopping by! Thank you for stopping by, friend! We're just reading, we're just doing our... Excuse me, we're just doing the reading today. We're just reading! How are you doing? How are you doing? Ah! And Lemmy's active once again. Give me a second. Okay, sorry about that. Lemmy is super active today. My goodness, just making those ringing sounds. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. First, he was being helpful by letting me know that we had a package delivered, but now he's just making those ringing sounds to be annoying. Lemmy needs to calm down. Lemmy needs to calm down. You need to calm down, Lemmy. Okay, let me get back to it. He screws up his eyes and strokes his chin. That might be her opinion, but you don't have to share it, do you? I don't agree with her, you're right. But when I saw the little singer for the first time, I felt as if an earthquake was going on underneath my clock. The gears grated and my tick-tock sped up. I started suffocating, getting myself all tangled up. Everything was topsy-turvy. Did you like that? I loved it. So what's the problem? Well, I was terrified Madeline might be right. Georges Méliès shakes his head and strokes his mustache. He's searching for the right words, the way a surgeon might choose his instruments. If you're frightened of damaging yourself, you increase the risk of doing just that. Consider the tightrope walker. Do you think he spares any thought for falling while he's walking the rope? No. He accepts the risks and enjoys the thrill of braving danger. If you spend your whole life being careful not to break anything, you'll get terribly bored. You know, I can't think of anything more fun than being impulsive. Just look at you. I only have to say the word impulsive and your eyes light up. When a person aged 14 decides to cross Europe to track down a girl, that means that they've got a taste for new impulsiveness, doesn't it? Yes, but have you got something that would make my heart a bit more robust? Of course I have. Listen to me carefully. Are you ready? Listen to me very carefully. The only thing, as you say, that will allow you to seduce the woman of your dreams is your heart. Not the clockwork version that was grafted onto you at birth. I'm talking about the real one. The one that's underneath, made of flesh and blood, pulsing. That's the one you've got to work with. Forget about your clockwork problems, and they'll seem less important. Be impulsive and above all, give. Give without counting the cost. Méliès was very expressive. All his features are active when he speaks. Cat-like, his mustache follows his smile. It doesn't work every time. I'm not guaranteeing anything. Take me, for example. I've just failed with the woman I thought was the love of my life. There simply is no trick that works every time. I've been given a lesson in love by a conjurer, some might call him a genius, who just confessed that his most recent potion blew up in his face. But I have to concede that his words are doing me as much good as his adjustments to my gears. He's gentle, and he knows how to listen. You can tell he understands the way humans work. Perhaps he's succeeded in penetrating the secrets of man's psychological machinery. In just a few hours, we struck up a friendly alliance. I could write a book about your story. I know it as well as if it was my own now, he tells me. So write it. If I have children one day, they'll be able to read it. But if you want to find out what happens next, you have to come with me to Andalusia. Surely you don't want a depressed conjurer accompanying you on your pilgrimage of love. Actually, yes, I'd like that a lot. You know, I might mess up a miracle. Of course you won't. But give me a night to mull it over, will you? It's a deal. As the first rays of sunshine begin to sneak through the shutters of Georges Méliès's workshop, I hear shouting. Andalusia! Anda! Andalusia! Anda! Anda! A madman in pajamas appears, straight out of an opera. All right, young man, I could do with a traveling in every sense of the word. I'm not going to let myself be crushed by my misery forever. A great blast of fresh air, that's what we're both going to enjoy. If you still want me as a companion, that is. Of course. When are we leaving? Straight away after breakfast, he answers, pointing to his travel bag. We sit down on a rickety table to drink scalding hot chocolate and eat jam on toast that's too soft. It's not as tasty as one of Madeline's breakfasts, but it's fun to be eating in the midst of a paper cutout extraterrestrials. You know, when I was in love, I was always inventing things. A whole array of tricks, illusions, and optical effects to amuse my lady friend. I think she'd had enough of my inventions by the end, he said, his mustache at half-mast. I wanted to create a voyage to the moon just for her, but what should I have given her was a real journey on Earth. I should have asked for her hand in marriage, found us a house that was a lot easier to live in than my old workshop, and I don't know what else, he sighs. One day I saw 2 planks from the shelves and attached wheels rescued from a hospital trolley, so that the 2 of us may glide to the moonlight. I called them rollerboards, but she never wanted to climb onto them. And I had to repair the shelves, too. Love isn't easy every day, my boy, he repeats dreamily. But you and I will climb on those boards. We'll speed across half of Europe on our rollerboards. Can we catch trains as well? Because I'm a bit pressed for time. Oppressed by time? That too. To think that my clock is a magnet for broken hearts. Madeline, Arthur, Anna, Luna, even Joe, now Méliès. I get the impression that their hearts need the care of a good clockmaker even more than mine does. Chapter 6. Wind-battered mustaches, empty claws, and a fiery flamenco sauce. Southward. Here we are, setting off along the road to France, pilgrims on the wheels chasing on the impossible dream. What a pair we make. One of us tall and gangly with a mustache like a cat's whiskers, and the other a short redhead with a wooden heart. Don Quixote and Sancho Panza, we lay siege to the spaghetti western landscape of Andalusia. Luna used to describe the south of Spain as an unpredictable place where dreams and nightmares coexist, like cowboys and Indians in the American Wild West. Que sera, sera. Along the way, we talked a great deal. In some ways, Méliès has become my Dr. Love, playing the opposite role to Madeline, and yet they remind me of each other. I try to encourage him to win back his sweetheart. She might still be in love with you, wherever she is, and she'd still enjoy a voyage to the moon, wouldn't she, even if it's in a cardboard rocket? I'm afraid not. She says I'm pathetic, the way I'm always tinkering with things. She's bound to fall in love with a scientist or a soldier, given how it all ended. My conjurer clockmaker has a wry outlook, even when he's drowning in sorrow. His wonky, wind-battered mustache could tell you that. I've never laughed as much as I do in the course of this fabulous ride. We travel like stowaways on freight trains, sleep very little, and eat whenever we can get our hands on. I may have a clock for a heart, but I've given up on keeping an eye on the time. We are rained on so often that I can't believe we haven't shrunk. But nothing can stop us. We feel more alive than ever. When we reach Lyon, across the Point de la Guillotière on our rollerboards, holding onto the back of a carriage, and passerbys cheer us as if we were on the peloton in the Tour de France. At Valence, after a night spent roaming the streets, an old lady treats us like her grandsons, and cooks up the most wonderful poulet frites in the world. We're also allowed a soapy bath that works wonders, and a glass of still lemonade. The high life. Feeling clean and perky, we set off to attack the gates of the south. The city of Orange and its railway police, who don't want to let us sleep in the livestock vans. Perpignan, with its early smells of Spain. Kilometer by kilometer, my dreams grow thick with possibilities. Miss Acacia, I'm coming. I feel invincible traveling alongside Captain Méliès, buttresses against our rollerboards. We cross the Spanish border, and a warm wind rushes inside me, transforming my clock hands into windmill blades. They'll grind the seeds of my dreams and turn them into reality. Miss Acacia, I'm coming. An army of olive trees usher us through, followed by orange trees nestling their fruits in the sky. Tireless, we press on. The red mountains of Andalusia slice through our horizon. A cumulus cloud ruptures on those mountain peaks, spitting its nervous lightning a few hundred meters away from us. Méliès signals that I should tuck my scrap metal away. Now is not the time to conduct lightning. A bird approaches, hovering like a vulture. The circle of rocks surrounding us gives him a sinister air, but it's just Luna's old carrier pigeon, bringing me news from Edinburgh. I'm so relieved to see him back at last. Despite my simmering dreams of Miss Acacia, I haven't forgot about Dr. Madeleine for a moment. The pigeon lands in a tiny cloud of dust. My heart races. I'm impatient to read the letter, but I can't catch the wretched bird. My mustachioed Indian friend tries to tame him by cooing away, and eventually I grab hold of his feathery body. But it's all a waste of time. The pigeon is traveling empty-clawed, with just a remnant of string on his leg, and no letter from Madeleine. The wind must have snatched it. Perhaps in the Rhone Valley around Valence, where the gusts rush in before sloping off to die in the sun. I feel as disappointed as if I had just opened a parcel full of ghosts. I perch on my rollerboard and hastily scribble a note. Dear Madeleine, in your next letter, please can you let me know what you said in your first, because this idiot pigeon went and lost it before delivering it to me. I found a clockmaker who's good at taking care of my clock, and I am doing well. Miss you lots. Anna, Luna, and Author 2. With love, from Jack. Méliès helps me roll the piece of paper correctly around the bird's claw. If she knew I was at the gates of Andalusia chasing after my love, she'd be furious. All mothers are afraid for their children and protect them the best way they can, but it's time for you to leave the nest. Look at your heart. It's midday. We've got to push on. Have you seen what's written on the sign ahead, straight ahead of us? Granada! Anda! Anda! Méliès roars, with an otherworldly glimmer in his eye. In a treasure hunt, where the glow from the gold coins start to glimmer through the keyhole in his chest, the seeker is overcome by emotion, rarely able to open the lid. Fear of winning. As for me, I've been nursing this dream for so long. Joe smashed it up against my head, and I picked up the pieces patiently. Patiently, I endured the pain, But in my imagination, I was already putting the egg back together again, and it was full of pictures of the little singer. Now here she is, about to hatch, and I'm rigid with stage fright. The Alhambra extends, its arabesque towards us, outlined against the opal sky. The carriages jolt about. My clock jolts too. The wind picks up, blowing dust all around and lifting the women's dresses, turning them into parasols. Will I dare open you out, Miss Acacia? As soon as we arrive in the old city, we set about hunting down its theaters. The light is almost blinding. Méliès asks us the same question at every theater we find along the way. Does a little flamenco-singing girl with poor eyesight ring any bells? It'd be easier to spot a snowflake in a snowstorm. Dusk finally calms the city's orangey-red glow. There's still no trace of Miss Acacia. There are a lot of singing girls like that around here, replies the skinny man sweeping the square in front of the Umpteenth Theater. No. This one is extraordinary. She's very young, 14 or 15 years old, but sings like a grown woman. Oh, and she's always bumping into things. If she's really as extraordinary as you say that she is, then you should try the Extraordinarium. What's that? An old circus converted into a fun fair. They got every kind of show there. Caravans of troubadours, prima ballerinas, ghost trains, carousels of winged elephants, singing birds, freak shows of real-life monsters. I think they might have a little singing girl. It's at 7. Calle Pueblo Jardín, in the Cartujas district, about a quarter of an hour from here. Thank you very much, sir. It's a curious place, but if you like that kind of thing, good luck anyway. On the road leading to the Extraordinarium, Méliès is full of last-minute recommendations. Play it like a poker game. Never reveal your fears or doubts. You got a trump card and it's called your heart. You may think of it as a weakness, but embrace your vulnerability and your clockwork heart will make you special. It's precisely your difference that will win her over. My handicap will be a weapon of seduction? Do you really think so? Of course! Don't tell me that you weren't charmed by that singer of yours when she refused to put on her glasses, when she began bumping into things. Oh, it's not that. It's not just that, of course, but her difference is all a part of her charm. And now is the time to make the most of yours. It's 10 o'clock at night. Excuse me. It's 10 o'clock at night by the time we enter the Extraordinarium. We travel up and down the alleyways as music rings out from every corner, several melodies blending together in a joyful brouhaha. Stalls give off smells of frying and dust. People must be thirsty all the time here. The crackpot collection of fairground attractions looks to set to topple at the slightest puff. The House of Singing Birds is just like my heart, only bigger. You have to wait for the hour to strike in order to see those birds popping out from behind the dial. It's easy to adjust the clock when there's nothing alive inside. After wandering around for some time, I notice a wall with a poster announcing that evening's shows, complete with photos. Miss Acacia, Fiery Flamenco Sauce, at 10 p.m. on the small stage opposite the ghost train. I recognize her features instantly. I've been searching in my dreams for 4 years, and now, right at the end of the race, reality is finally taking over. I feel dizzy, like a fledgling bird on a day it first takes flight. The cozy nest of my imagination is receding. It's time to jump. The paper roses stitched onto the little singer's dress trace the treasure map that is her body. The tip of my tongue tastes electric. I'm a bomb ready to explode. A terrifying bomb, but a bomb all the same. We head towards the stage and take our seats. The stage is a simple platform set up under a trailer awning. To think that in a few moments I'm about to see her. How many millions of seconds have been and gone since my 10th birthday? How many millions of times have I dreamt about this moment? The euphoria is so intense, I'm finding it hard to stay still. Meanwhile, inside my chest, the proud windmill that has reverted into a tiny Swiss cuckoo. The spectators in the front row turn towards me, annoyed by the smile. 3 girls burst out laughing and say something in Spanish, presumably along the lines of, "Those two just escaped from the freak show." It's true our clothes could do with a good ironing. The little singer walks out on stage, clicking her yellow high heels along the platform. She launches into her bird dance, and my clock hands become windmill blades once again. I'm flying. Her voice echoes like a slender nightingale, sounding even more beautiful than in my dreams. I want to take the time to watch her calmly, to adjust my heart to her presence. Mrs. Acacia arches the small of her back, and her lips part a little, as if being kissed by a ghost. She closes her large eyes as she claps her raised hands like castanets. During a particularly intimate song, my cuckoo whirs into action. I'm more embarrassed than ever. The twinkle in Mathias's eyes helps to calm me down. We're in such a rundown place, yet the little singer transcends our surroundings. You'd think she was lighting her own Olympic flame in the plastic model stadium. At the end of the show, she's mobbed by all sorts of people wanting to exchange a word or get her autograph. I have to queue like everyone else, even though I'm not asking for an autograph. Just the moon. The two of us curled up in its crescents. Mathias tips me off. Her dressing room door is open and there's nobody inside. I slip in like a burglar. Closing the door of the tiny dressing room behind me, I take a moment to study her makeup, her sequin ankle boots, and her wardrobe. Tinkerbell would have approved. I'm embarrassed to be looking at her personal belongings, but it's delicious to be this close to her. As I perch on her chaise lounge, her delicate perfume intoxicates me. I wait. The door bursts open and a little singer enters in like a hurricane in a skirt. Her yellow shoes go flying. Hairpins rain down. She sits in front of her dressing table. I am more silent than the deadest of corpses. She starts taking off her makeup, as delicately as a pink snake in my shedded skin, and then puts on a pair of glasses. She sees my reflection in the mirror. "What are you doing here?" she demands. "Please forgive this intrusion. Ever since I heard you singing some years ago, my only dream has been to find you again. I've crossed half of Europe to get here. I've had eggs smashed on my head, and I've nearly had my guts ripped out by a man who only fell in love with dead women. There's no doubt about it. I'm handicapped by my great love. My makeshift heart isn't strong enough to resist the emotional earthquake I feel when I see you, but here I am, bursting for you." That is when I'm desperate to stay. Instead, I'm silent as an orchestra of tombstones. "How did you manage to get in?" She's furious, but the shock seems to dilute her anger. She discreetly removes her glasses, and I can tell she's curious now. "Be careful," Mathias had warned me. "She's a singer. She's pretty. You won't be the first to feel this way about her. The master stroke of your seduction must be to create the illusion that you're not trying to seduce her." I'm flustered, so I don't know what to say. "I leaned against your door and it wasn't closed properly, so I landed on your dressing room sofa," I finally tell her, realizing how ridiculous that sounds. "Do you make it a habit of landing in the dressing room of girls who need to get changed?" No, not often. Each word I say is monumentally important, emerging with difficulty, syllable by syllable. I can feel the full weight of the dream I'm carrying. "Where do you normally show up? In the bed or the bath?" "I don't normally show up anywhere." I try to remember the lesson in rose-tinted magic that Mathias taught me for romance. Show her who you really are. Make her laugh or cry, but pretend you want to be her friend. Be interested in her, not just her derriere. We don't hold a candle to someone for as long as we're only after the derriere, do we? Which is true, but now that I've seen how her derriere moves, I'd rather fancy it, which complicates matters. "Weren't you the one that made that devil of a racket with your TikTok during the concert?" "In fact, I don't recognize you." "Recognize me?" "Look, what do you want from me?" I take a deep breath, using up all the air that's left in my lungs. "I wanted to give you something. It's not flowers, and it's not chocolate either." "So what is it?" I produced a bunch of spectacles from my bag, trying not to tremble as I hold the frames out to her. But I can't help it. The makeshift bouquet clinks and rattles. Miss Acacia makes a face like a sulky doll. Her expression could be disguising laughter or anger, and I don't know what to make of it. The bunch of glasses weighed a ton. I'm going to get a cramp, plus I look ridiculous. "What is it?" "A bouquet of glasses." "They're not my favorite flowers." On the edge of the world, somewhere between her chin and the parting of her lips, a microscopic smile glimmers. Thank you, but I'd like to get dressed in peace now. She opens the door for me, and the light from the street lamps dazzle her. I position my hands between the street lamps and her eyes. I see her forehead unfurl. It's a moment of delicious turmoil. I don't like wearing glasses. I've got a small head and they make me look like a fly. That's fine by me. Mentioning the fly is her ploy to diffuse that delicious turmoil, but my answer reactivates it. The brief silence that follows is as tender as a rainstorm of daisies. Can we see each other again, with or without the spectacles? And that's the end of the chapter, and that's where I'm going to leave it for today. We've made it through 6 chapters already, and next time we will continue on chapter 7. Yeah, so how do you guys think? So far, I'm enjoying the story. It's a little different than what we've normally been reading, and I've actually been enjoying it. And I'm sorry for the scuff. Kind of coming back from bed rest, and my normal rest, kind of has me a little out of sorts. Plus, with all the interruptions today, it kind of threw me off a bit. But I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you all enjoyed it so very much. And yeah, let me know what you guys think of the story. Are you guys enjoying it? You guys want to keep? I'm gonna continue reading it, of course. I'm gonna finish it. I think we might be able to finish it next week, maybe. I know this is not exactly a long storybook. Let's see how many chapters we have. Because we're gonna be starting off on chapter 7 next week. So, okay, so there's 14 chapters, so we're already halfway through the book. So I think next week we might be able to finish it, which is gonna be great. It's not a long book, but it's still a really interesting story. So far, I'm really enjoying it. But yeah. Tomorrow there's not gonna be, yes, okay. So tomorrow there's not gonna be a stream. There's not gonna be a stream tomorrow. Of course, because it's Wednesday. But Thursday, we will be coming back to it with the Crooked Man. I think we'll be able to finish the Crooked Man, this week. I know the stream has been fairly short, but I didn't want to just blast through the game, especially since it is a bit of a scary game, and I didn't want to just blast through it. But yeah, so that's it. That's it for today. I hope everyone has a wonderful and happy Tuesday. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day, and I'll be seeing you guys again on Thursday. And remember to hug your friends, tell someone you love them, and be a force for good in the world, because goodness knows the world needs more goodness and kindness and love. And yeah, I will be seeing you guys on Thursday for more of the Crooked Man. And I'm excited. You guys have a wonderful day and a happy Wednesday, and I will see you all next time. I love you all so very, very much. And I'll see you guys next time. Alright, bye!